Welcome to the Rotary Club of Edina, the #1 club in the universe. Hello, Sam Thompson. Yay! We rock because of all of you, like Reverend Tom Cook looking at his phone over there. I mean, the guy is amazing.
Checking time.
Checking time. Am I on time? It's important to be on time. My name is Michael Stanzak, and I am humbled and honored to serve as your 67th president. Thank you. Thank you for coming out on this warm, sunny spring day. We have a very interesting meeting planned today with Chris Newhouse, who is Matter's Executive Director of Sustainability. Shelly Loberg has told me that our club has teamed up with Matter and has done amazing things to better the world. In fact, Chris was one of the ones that helped get our club's global grant approved several years ago. And Chris said that Shelly did the heavy lifting, but it was a team effort to get it done. So thank you all for being here in person. We're so glad you're here. And for those of you that are joining us on Zoom, we love you Zoomers. So a special shout out to Bill McCreevy, who's probably in sunny Florida, Wooj Bayan, Peyton Price, Sam Coate, and anybody else that's joining us. We so appreciate it. Our first member spotlight today is on the three amigos, and that would be Katie Campbell, Jody Kern, and her mother, Sandy Stuck, who is a retired Rotarian and former executive of Southdale YMCA. They all just happen to be in San Juan Capistrano for the return of the Swallows. Is anybody familiar with the return of the Swallows in San Juan Capistrano? You've heard of it? I've heard of it too. Apparently they come back every year and they also have a parade as well to celebrate that. And here's a picture from the parade. Doesn't quite look like the Edina 4th of July parade, but they're having a great time. And there is Katie and her husband Ralph. They are at Santa Catalina Island, and it was just absolutely gorgeous, and they're having a great time in Southern California, and hopefully she'll be back soon. Our next member spotlight is on Kelly Burnett, who celebrated her birthday this month, and this was taken a couple years ago with Josh Sprague, Katie Campbell, Jennifer Hendrickson, and past district governor Tim Murphy. Our next member spotlight is with Bjorn Frudenthal and Harry Maddington at the XL Energy Center when they retired Mikko Kuvo's jersey. Now, did everybody know that Mikko Kuvo is from Finland? He is. And guess where Bjorn is from? Finland. And Bjorn told me that people are still dancing in the streets because Finland won the hockey at the Olympics, the U.S. men's hockey. So they're still celebrating, which is great. All right, this takes us back to 2013. Can anybody identify the guitar player? St. Paul Peterson, that's right. There he was in 2013 playing at Carnegie Hall. And I saw Paul yesterday. He unfortunately is at a funeral today. I saw him at a board of directors meeting. In fact, I saw Mike Martiny at that meeting as well. And Paul told me one of the greatest things that he's ever did was to see his brother Ricky playing with playing with Jackson Browne, and they were playing the song Running on Empty. He said it was one of the highlights of his life. Pretty cool to see your brother playing with Jackson Browne. Okay, and staying with the birthday theme, Kayla Beeler celebrating her birthday with Lindsay Smaka and Shelly Loberg and Jennifer Hendrickson and her new beau, Tim. Looks like they're having a great time. Rotary in the news. How many of you have gotten the new Rotary magazine? Hannah-Laura, have you gotten it? I haven't gotten it yet. I haven't gotten it either, Catherine. Well, it's very interesting that March is National Reading Month. Does anybody know why? Because it's Dr. Seuss's birthday. So March is recognized as National Reading Month. So when you get the magazine, read it because there's really good stuff in it, Sita. You would enjoy it. So Rotary in the news, a couple weeks ago, they had the State of the City, and this was our club's Olympic team. We had Skip Thomas, Shelly Loberg, and Kelly Burnett competing in Special Olympics against the Morning Club and against the Chamber of Commerce, and we came away with a bunch of medals. So way to go, team. Appreciate that. Coming up, a week from today, will be our Black Business Mixer, 5:30 to 7 o'clock at Tommy Beavis's Pimento Jamaican Kitchen, which is great food. Thank you so much to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee for putting this together. Rich, do all I have to do is just show up and eat and drink? Is that all I have to do? I don't have to talk? I'm in. It'd be fun. Put it on your calendar. It'd be great fun. Celebrating birthdays. Some of us are really into celebrating birthdays. Ken Larson celebrated his birthday. Les Jones, Mike Norman, Dr. Brad Pearson, Paul Moody, who likes wearing a toga, Will Steinke, the hockey coach, Axel Stewart, Chris Likowski, thank you, Chris, Gary Pedersen, Bob Hildreth, David Ozzie, Sandra Kresbach, Kelly Burnett, Caleb Beeler, Sandy Shalai, Joe Hayes. Also, we recognize Rotary Anniversaries. We have people that have been Rotarians for a really long time, and they really give of their time, their talent, and their treasure. And it says so much, David Kleins, about people that have been members of our club for a long time because they really give. So we just take a moment and look at Scott Blake, Michael Eckert, Kaylin Idness, Andrew Finesse, 28 years, Teresa Halverson, 5, Mark Jessen, who's here, 12, Susan Johnson, 9, Jack Kineffect, 9, George Lancaster, 34, Toshi Metzger, 4, Kip Peterson, 10, Ross Peterson, 7, Joshua Sprague, I like that Joshua thing, Old Testament, good stuff. Susan Stiles, 21, Mary Swenson, 12, Skip Thomas with perfect attendance, 28 years, yeah baby, Sam Thompson, our past president, 9-year, and Julie Westbrock, who is set for greatness here at the Rotary Club of Edina. It takes a village to put on a Rotary meeting, not unlike trying to get a global grant done. And our greeters today are Stefan Smith and Don Hutchison. And, okay, I can figure this out. Who's going to give the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance 4-way test? Stefan Smith is going to do that. Shelly Loberg is going to introduce our speaker. Will Steinke is writing the barker. Chuck Roundhorse is going to do guest introductions. And we have Chris Likowski doing the video recording, and we have Scott Blake over there facilitating Zoom. So please rise for the invocation, Pledge of Allegiance, and 4-way test.
Hello everyone, and happy St. Patrick's Day. On this feast day of St. Patrick, the 5th century missionary and patron saint of Ireland, we come together in celebration of this religious and cultural holiday. As St. Patrick is credited with bringing the Christian faith to the people of Ireland, let us be mindful of the importance of faith in our lives, regardless of our own unique definitions of faith. As we gather today, let us bow our heads in prayer. Gracious Lord, we thank you for bringing us together in fellowship, united in our mission of service above self. Thank you for this meal and for those who prepared it. Thank you for our countless blessings as we live each day to the fullest and strive to share our generosity, love, and passion with everyone we encounter. We pray that you lead our thoughts, words, and actions with intention, humility, and love for others. Be with us today as we search for opportunities to learn more and be of greater service. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. And one other thing I'd like to share, while most of us are familiar with the traditional Irish blessing, I recently stumbled into this variation that I thought was relevant for the day, given that it is a day of celebration with a lot of food and libations. May the winds of fortune sail you. May you sail a gentle sea. May it always be the other guy who says, "This drink's on me." The Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
We have somebody pitch hitting for Mr. Ronhurst, and that would be Mike Martiny.
Thank you, thank you. I am not Chuck Roundhurst, but I play one on TV. All right, we have a lot of guests today, so I'm going to do this pretty quickly and turn it over to the members who are bringing all these guests. Let me start with Shelly Loberg. Shelly, you have a number of guests.
I do. Can Jean and Katie stand? Where are Jean and Katie? Jean and Katie are a local Edina family. They have been speakers at our club previously. They created an amazing product called the X-Torch, which is a solar light that is given to families in developing countries that have electricity scarcity. Get to know them; they're amazing people. This is their second visit to our club. And then I also have Tina Borer. Where's Tina? Tina is from the Edina Community Foundation. Works with Dick Crockett here, doing lots of local fundraising for many different nonprofits here in Edina. And then John Credelli is from the Eden Prairie AM Club. He's a longtime friend. Most of you know him. Guatemala traveler. So thanks for being here today.
Welcome. Toshi, would you introduce your guest?
Yes. I met Tony like maybe 2 weeks ago because I'm a mortgage person and we do close at the title company. And this lady, I always call her name is Lisa, and she said, Toshi, I need you to meet a new wonderful agent. His name is Tony, and he has a very interesting background. He works for Keller Williams. I'll let him speak himself about that. Please.
So for the past 30 years, even though I don't look it, I'm 48, for the past 30 years, I've been involved with the military and law enforcement. And just recently in January, I retired from that, and I decided to jump my feet into real estate. So that's kind of what I've done. So it took me less than 30 days to get my realtor's license and sign on with Keller Williams, and I've been doing that for about 3 weeks.
Well, congratulations. Welcome. Ryan Wilson, could you introduce your guest?
Today I brought Andrew Krause. He is a coworker of mine over at Tradition Capital Bank. Andrew is a lender within our commercial construction group. Just recently, earlier this year, I believe, he actually traveled to Zimbabwe along with Matters, so he was very interested in hearing our guest speaker today, so I invited him along.
Congratulations. Welcome. And to round out our guests, David Kleins has a number of guests.
Very happy to present Nancy and Ian Frickman. They're Dr. Frickman and Counselor Frickman here. They're neighbors of mine involved in community projects together, and wanted them to meet our Rotary community, and we're glad that they could join us today.
Pleasure to be here.
Welcome. And we do have 2 visiting Rotarians. Do we have another guest?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Prairie AM Rotary Club. Same as John Credelli. And we are really excited because we are having a premier event that's never been held before in Eden Prairie, and it's called the Eden Prairie Eco Expo. And this was really inspired by the 7th new focus from Rotary International regarding the environment. So we're going to have over 30 vendors, and Katie and Jean will be one of them. And then we're going to have 9 amazing speakers, as well as a family fun zone with all kinds of great stuff for the kids. So bring your families, bring your friends. You've got a little thing like this on the table. Take it with you. And our event website is right on there, so you can look at it. We're even going to have a raffle. So we would love to have you all there. Thanks so much. And the great food.
Great. Welcome to guests and visiting Rotarians.
So does anybody know what's with the diapers, Lisa Walker, and the detergent? I'll tell you. Thanks to Lisa and her committee, the Community Service Group, we are doing a thing for VEAP. Lindsay, VEAP is a food shelf in Bloomington, and we are collecting, not exciting things. I mean, diapers, cake mix, laundry detergent. And I know what you're thinking, Eli, you forgot to bring something, but there's still time. We have 2 more meetings this month where we could do a little shopping to bring non-perishables that we could give to VEAP and truly make a difference to people in our community. Also, talking about making a difference internationally, Mark Stagerberg suggested that I put this up. This is an opportunity to give money for humanitarian support in the Ukraine region. And the way you can do that, Fred, is you can just go to myrotary.org, and there's a link where you can give money directly to Rotary International, and it will be given to humanitarian support for those that are suffering in Ukraine. Or you can take a picture of that little website right there, and you can go directly there. So speaking about Rotary International, it's a lead into our director, Catherine Gump, who has some exciting news for us.
Hey there, I am here to announce the kickoff of our Every Rotarian Every Year, the Rotary Foundation Challenge. I don't think Jeff's here, but Team Jennifer Benarat, and Team Jeff versus Team Jeff, and you will all learn which team you are on March 31st. So just so you know about that. And our objective, or Jennifer's objective, and Jeff's objective, is for their teams to have all their members be givers to the Rotary Foundation. Now, many of you, I've gone through the list, and really almost all of us are pretty regular givers to the Rotary Foundation. Some years we give, some years we don't. We're hoping all of us give this year. And to be an Every Rotarian Every Year, it means that you give $25 or more. So that's what we want to do. So I don't know which team is going to be the one with 100% participation. Jennifer's team, because she is here today, has a lead, I would think. There will be valuable prizes for that winning team. So if you give, you have a much better chance of being part of the winning team and receiving a very valuable prize. And finally, all team members. So again, many of you have already given, and you'll be called and thanked by a fellow Rotarian. For those of us who haven't given, we'll be called and said, you know, you gave in June 2020, do you want to go ahead and give again now? And you've seen the links, it's very easy to give, so we can help you with that. So that's the process. And as you've been hearing about different people who have given, we've talked about different aspects of what the Rotary Foundation is, but I thought I would just start by what the mission is. And the Rotary Foundation helps us as Rotary members to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace by improving health, providing quality education, improving the environment, and alleviating poverty. And as Holly just talked about, we have 7 areas. The 7th was just added, the environment. You can see the others. And our club participates in all of these areas. So what happens is, when we give to the Rotary Foundation, it supports those different areas, and we as Rotarians in our club, and we're an outsized club because we really make a huge difference in the world. We have Shelly and Renee who are working with Matter, and so they are doing global grants for sanitation. They are providing global grants for education. Jean Morrison's going to talk about the work the Rotary Foundation does in the area of peace. So when you are giving as an Every Rotarian Every Year, that's the kind of impact you are having, and you know the people that are helping direct that. So to me, that makes it all the more meaningful. TRF is viewed as one of the top 5 charities in the world. It is highly efficient, and it's giving. It gives over 90% of what we give goes directly to those different charities, to those different areas of focus. And it's had a perfect score from Charity Navigator for 14 years, which is, again, kind of unheard of. So our next steps, if you haven't already given to TRF, go ahead and give now. And you will receive a thank you call. And you will be part of a winning team. And you, or Jennifer's team, you know, the whole club could win. That would be an option. And we will all receive valuable prizes then. But you've been hearing about, over the course of the year, why people have been donors. So we've talked about polio, we've talked about the sanitation hygiene work, and we've talked about education. One area I don't think we've spent as much time on is what Rotary does in the area of peace. And so you can imagine when Michael and I were talking about who to have come talk about this key Rotary area of peace, of course we wanted Jean Morrison to do it. So Jean, please come talk about what Rotary Foundation does in the area of peace.
Is there anything today more important and precious than global peace? When we watch the atrocities in Ukraine, we realize how small this world is and how when one suffers, we all suffer. Is that not true? I mean, have you not been brought to tears watching TV? So as we feel helpless and we feel heartbroken, and there is something we can do, we are not helpless. So when I see on the list peace building and conflict resolution, as a 33-year Edina Rotarian, I know that my contribution goes to help world peace. And when I think about what can I do over the last number of weeks, I think, oh, there's something I'm doing. I'm a Rotarian. I am giving. And I trust that my fellow Rotarians worldwide are doing something for world peace. Let me talk to you a little bit about what Rotary does in the world of peace. We support youth exchange. As most of you know, I was the second year that Rotary had youth exchange. I was an exchange student. And as Catherine and I were talking, she reminded me that Rotary was part of the formation of the United Nations 60 years ago. When I was 10, it reminded me, I heard at school there's going to be United Nations. When I was 17, I applied and got a Rotary Exchange opportunity. This many years later, I have a family in France that I have gone every year for 40 years. So Youth Exchange promotes global understanding. We fund peace scholars, people who go to school to learn to be peace builders. I don't know if you read your last Rotarian, but we also fund 7 centers of peace throughout the world that in different parts of the world, and they offer tailor-made curricula to individuals devoted to peace building and conflict resolution. That, as a peace builder myself, that makes me feel so good that we are spreading the understanding of peace throughout the world. So we are doing something. We're doing something on a global scale. Last year, I joined an e-club through Rotary of peace builders throughout the world. This club meets on Zoom every Tuesday night, and it's amazing the people that I have met and learned about what are they doing to sow the seeds of peace throughout the world. I learn from them, I share with them, and it makes me feel part of making a difference in the world. As a Rotarian, I feel like I'm part of a much bigger effort to build global peace. And as a contributor to the Rotary Foundation for many, many years, and I contributed 1 year in the name of my French father, which felt really good when he was here and we could present that to him. So I have confidence that I'm making a difference in the world through my contributions. And when you look around, what we realize is that we're more vulnerable than we care to admit, all of us. And that we're more deeply connected than we even knew. And now watching TV and watching what's happening, we are connected. And I feel, even driving over here today, I've had this vision of, as a Rotarian making a donation, I'm making a connection across the world in a way that a lot of people cannot do that. So that's why I give. Thank you.
Jean is wonderful. She speaks from the heart. She's done so much for our club. She's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Jean. Another woman in our club that's amazing is Michelle Elizabeth Loberg, but she goes by Shelly. So Shelly is the vice president of the Edina Chamber of Commerce and Explore Edina. She has a BA in communications from the University of Minnesota, Duluth. Your Bulldog. Go Bulldogs. And has over 11 years of nonprofit management and marketing experience. Shelly served as the international director for 3 years on our club board, currently serves as a treasurer of our club, and in 2 years she'll be the president. You'll have to come back when she's the president, Chris. And we look for speakers, it's hard getting good speakers. Move on, Michael. Okay. She's very passionate about our club's international projects. She's traveled to Guatemala twice and has executed a global grant for maternal and child health project in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. She's a single mom of 2 sons, Dane 22 and Evan 19, and her personal passions are travel, languages, food, wine, fitness, and yoga, and she loves cosmopolitans. Please welcome my dear friend and fellow Rotarian, Shelly Loberg.
Actually, I was on the phone with Michael just yesterday, and he was having a Cosmo. So we had to talk about how that's actually my signature drink. So you guys will have to forgive the little bit of a long introduction here, but I have a great story to tell you. In May of 2017, I had the privilege of meeting local nonprofit leader Kim Valentini, who founded the Smile Network here in Minnesota. And for anyone who's not familiar with that organization, they do cleft palate surgeries in developing countries. My intention at the time was to see if somehow I could orchestrate a Rotary project directly with her and her organization. And while we visited, she said, Shelly, do you know what? She said, when I'm traveling to all these different places, what I really see is that the hospitals in these countries that we're serving and the communities that we're serving are have a lot of needs that aren't being met, and particularly in the area of caring for moms and babies. She said, you should connect with Matter. They do amazing work in hospitals and communities all over the world. And a local Rotarian here, Royce Pavelka, had a friend who worked at Matter at the time, and Royce and I went over and toured Matter. They are a local NGO based here in St. Louis Park, Minnesota. They're innovators, problem solvers, and doers. And right away, I really clicked with them and their staff. I've always considered myself a doer. It's fun to talk about the big picture, but what's really exciting to me is when you get to execute things that really make a difference in people's lives. Chris and Becca and I started about a 2.5-year journey of working on a global grant together. Through Chris and Becca, I met another partner, Blessing, who runs a travel company and foundation called Love for Africa in Zimbabwe. Blessing's mother, Catherine, at the time just happened to be president of a Rotary Club in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. Catherine and I connected and began a project assessment to support United Bulawayo hospitals, specifically the maternal and pediatric departments in the hospital. Maternal and child health, as Catherine mentioned, is one of Rotary's areas of focus. I want to give just a little financial breakout of the project that you're going to hear about today, because I want you, especially after Catherine and Jean's talk, to understand how your giving affects our club. So our club's foundation, the Edina Rotary Foundation, contributed $23,000 to this project. Other partnering Rotary clubs, including from my friend John Credelli in Eden Prairie, contributed $7,000. We received district designated funds from our district, which is 5950, in the amount of $30,000. I had the privilege of receiving a direct endowment from an anonymous donor in our club here locally of $105,000. That money was specifically earmarked for a maternal and child health project, and nobody was using it. So I was very happy to put those funds to use. And then we received from Rotary International $45,000. So the total price tag on this project that you're going to hear about is $210,000 worth of impact.
Shelly, the district designated funds are the TRF money that comes back.
Yes.
That people have given too.
Yes. Yes. So all of that, both the local and the international giving, eventually come back here to clubs, as long as you're authoring grants like this one. In his role at Matter, Chris ensures transparency and accountability for the business units and Matter's push to accomplish the vision of sustainability through social enterprise. Chris is also the owner of the Chaya Tree Initiative, ensuring the vision is fully realized to improve health and nutrition in rural communities and to build an economic development component. He's an amazing person and my good friend. Please welcome Chris Newhouse.
Thanks, everyone. Really happy to be here. It's a privilege. I also want to introduce my colleague, Katie Johnson, who has worked with me on this project. She's going to start us with a brief introduction on Zimbabwe and the project in general.
Hi everyone, as Chris said, I am Katie, and we work together at Matter on our global projects team. Chris has been part of Matter for almost 6 years now. I'm part of this project since the very beginning, and I have only been with Matter for about a year now, but I've had the pleasure of being able to watch the implementation of this project in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. Chris and I both visited United Bulawayo Hospital about 2 months ago when we were in Zimbabwe, and we are excited to be here today to show you all that has been transformed thanks to your generous efforts. So a little bit background on Matter. We have been around for about 20 years, and we operate in 4 main pillars. So the first one is our Matter Box program, and this program is a healthy eating program to expand access to healthy foods domestically. We also have an education sector, which we call our Innovation Hub. And this is a student-centered learning environment, and it's for kids to learn things like coding and critical thinking skills. We also have an agriculture environment. It's for utilizing nutrition gardens and chia trees. And the whole point of the agriculture department is to feed nutrient-dense food to the people that need it most. And lastly is our hospital and clinics. And our goal is to improve access to quality of healthcare for communities around the world. At Matter, we also have a social enterprise arm, and that's called Matter 360. We partner with hospitals all around the country, Minnesota, surrounding states, to take in their excess medical supplies and equipment. We then repurpose it to our hospital projects like the one you're going to see today. If the remaining items that are not able to be sent overseas, we actually auction off to our partners in the States, and we use those proceeds to cover our operating costs. So Matter's goal is to cover 100% of our operating costs through this initiative, so that the funding that comes through our donors can go directly to the projects themselves. A little bit about the Zimbabwe healthcare system. The history, it's definitely had its ups and downs. In the 1980s, they had a thriving healthcare system, but through human rights abuses and economic mismanagements, the system began to fail. The economy started to collapse quickly, and by the 2000s, many of the hospitals didn't have electricity or even running water. And just as recently as 2008, government physicians earned less than $1 per month. So this slide originally had a quote from the Guardian magazine, but it didn't make it. So I'm just going to read what it said. The magazine was interviewing a Zimbabwean doctor, and she said, there's shortages of things from painkillers and syringes. She said that they had to wash and reuse bandages, which is increasing the risk of infection. She said the maternity theater that she had, it's the maternity unit, hasn't been working for some time, which has been forcing the doctors to delay things like C-sections and often operations that ends up becoming fatal. And so this is not something abnormal for hospitals in Zimbabwe. It's very common for operating rooms like this, like the one that this doctor is talking about, to be out of service solely due to lack of equipment. Many physicians, including the ones at UBH, feel the weight of not being able to save lives due to the fact that they don't have the proper equipment.
Bulawayo is the second largest city in Zimbabwe, next to the capital, Harare. UBH is a public hospital network in Bulawayo and consists of 4 individual hospitals: Bulawayo Central Hospital, Richard Morris Hospital, Lady Rodwell Maternity Hospital, and Robbie Gibson Infectious Disease Hospital. This project focused on supporting the maternity hospital and the pediatric hospital by providing much needed equipment and supplies and establishing a nutrition garden to provide nutrient-dense food for the patients. Around 7,000 babies are born every year at the maternity hospital. The 44-bed pediatric hospital has been closed for the last 17 years due to lack of equipment and dilapidated infrastructure. We first met with Shelly in mid-2017, as she mentioned. Shelly was looking to apply for a global grant that focused on maternal and pediatric health. We recommended that Rotary explore a project in Zimbabwe due to the great need there in the healthcare system. At first, we identified a potential project at Victoria Falls Hospital and a small maternity hospital in Lukosi, both of which I visited on a Matter trip in 2016. However, while we were in the process of starting the Rotary grant application, Matter received funding from a Pentair grant, which allowed us to send a container of medical equipment to equip these sites. On a subsequent trip in April 2018, we visited Bulawayo and toured UBH. We met with the hospital administration and members of the Bulawayo Rotary Club, and we determined with Shelly to refocus the project there. I visited Bulawayo again in April 2019 as the grant application was underway in order to finalize the equipment list and project scope. We also toured the site where the nutritional garden was to be established. The Bulawayo Rotary strongly encouraged us to expand our scope to include the pediatric hospital. The hospital was basically empty. All the equipment had been removed since it was closed. The condition of the maternity hospital was dire. There were many rooms filled with broken equipment, expecting mothers were sitting on the bare floor, and basic necessities like mattresses and wheelchairs were in short supply. It's always difficult to know where to start a project like this and where to end it. There's systemic issues that are unsolvable. We could all in this room spend our entire lives trying to fix this hospital, and we could never do it. But we can improve the dignity of the patients there by providing some basic equipment that they need, and so that's how we focused. The infrastructure in these places is deteriorating. Medical staff is severely underpaid if they get paid at all, and there are no funds to replace or repair equipment or purchase supplies. As Shelly mentioned, we partner with a wonderful man named Blessing Mninyiwa. If anybody ever wants to travel to Zimbabwe, he is the person to arrange it. He does fantastic trips, and I love him like a brother. We met Blessing in 2016 while he was in the Twin Cities giving a presentation at Peak Travel. He was encouraging people to book trips to Zim through his company, Love for Africa. He was looking to give back to his country and approached Matter to see how we could work together to improve our lives in his community. Blessing worked at Disney for a number of years in Orlando before moving back to Zim and starting his own company in Vic Falls. Since we first met, Blessing has started the Love for Africa Foundation and is Matter's primary implementing partner in Zimbabwe. He's from Bulawayo originally. I think he was actually born in this hospital. And he and his team have been instrumental in the success of this Rotary project. As I mentioned, we started the grant application with Shelly in 2017, and it was approved in the fall of 2020. After funding, we got to work on procuring the equipment through donations we had in inventory and working through our contacts in the secondary medical equipment market. Some of the equipment we procured includes birthing beds, pediatric cots, gurneys, bassinets, x-rays, OR tables, ultrasound machines, fetal monitors, infant warmers, incubators, and anesthesia machines. After receiving all the equipment, we shipped 3 containers from a warehouse last summer. Because the need was so great, Matter decided to sponsor a 4th container of equipment, which is due to arrive in Bulawayo sometime in the next few weeks. Katie and I traveled to Zimbabwe in January of this year to work with Love for Africa and ensure the equipment was installed correctly. We spent a couple days moving equipment to the appropriate locations and finished setting up the pediatric hospital. We met with Bulawayo Rotary to discuss the project and toured the pediatric hospital, which had opened 3 weeks prior for the first time in 17 years. In partnership with Love for Africa, we installed a nutritional garden next to the maternity hospital. We have 7 nutritional gardens in Zim right now. The first one we did about 4 years ago. And basically they're designed to solve a problem that we identified there, which is any gardens that are connected to institutions like schools or hospitals really just have very poor yields. And the main reason for that is the soil is continually depleted. It's never improved. So what we do is we create what's called a shade structure, shade house, and 1/3 of that space is dedicated to vermiculture or worm farming. So we have worm beds and waste from the hospital, waste from restaurants, elephant dung is put in these pits, basically creates nutrient-rich soil, which is then transported into raised beds. We also do microjet irrigation, which you can see there, which does a couple things. It conserves water and it also cools the shade house structure. The Zimbabwean traditional diet consists of the picture on the left there, which is called sadza. It's a corn mush, basically. I don't understand how people like it, but they do. But the problem with it is it just doesn't have very many nutrients in it. And sometimes these patients or kids in these schools, it's the only meal they get, and that's it. There's no greens with it. There's nothing. So what we want to do is grow, these vegetables and have the kitchen staff add it to sadza in the form of some kind of it's like spinach. So you just kind of cook it. You can add it in there. They call it a relish. And what that does is it really drastically improves health outcomes if patients are getting nutrients. We also have, I should mention too that part of the nutrition cards is education. So here's a picture of children that are going through learning about not only how to grow these plants, but also the purpose of them, like why it's important for them to eat not just sadza, but to have nutrient-rich vegetables as well. Just a few words about chaya. I was introduced to chaya, it's also known as the spinach tree, by a Zimbabwean woman at an agricultural conference in Florida in 2017. Since that time, Matter and Love for Africa, we've planted around 75,000 of these highly nutritious trees throughout Zimbabwe. We've planted 1,000 of them at UBH, and in 6 months, 3 to 6 months, the leaves will be harvested and incorporated into patient meals. Now we have 3 short videos. The first video is just an introduction to our chaya project. The next video is taken from when Katie and I were there in January, and we toured with Bulawayo Rotary and toured the pediatric hospital. They were really overwhelmed that the hospital had been open. It was a big deal. It made the news. The government was aware of it. Everybody was aware of it. It was quite a positive development in a country that's gone through a lot in the last couple of years. So this, just to give you a background, we have Dr. Mike, and you'll see Blessing. Dr. Mike Jeans works with us at Matter, but he is from Zimbabwe, and he helps us in all our medical projects there. And he'll kind of give the tour of the pediatric ward.
The meeting, but just saying how proud we are of Rotary's involvement. Rotary has been the pillar behind this amazing project. Rotary stands for a lot of good things, and I think this is a great partnership, and it gives me so much pride and it makes me so proud as Zimbabwe to be able to see what has happened. I thought I'll just explain to Rotary before I hand over to Chris, and then Dr. Mike will take us on a tour of what's happened. The pediatric unit has been closed for 20 years. For 20 years it has been closed. And now, because of Rotary and Matter, we are open for the first time in 20 years. It is unbelievable what we saw a couple of years ago when we were here with Chris and Dr. Mike to what it looks like now. I mean, we had to go down running away from beds. The hospital has done an amazing job that we're able to clean it and bring it, restore it to its natural look. And 6 weeks ago, after 20 years, it opened.
As I said before, we closed for a very long time. You saw what it was like before. Now you're going to see the after, which is a very exciting thing. It's a project that's been very close to my heart. I worked for a while at Victoria Falls District Hospital, full-time in the pediatric ward there. And I used to try and get children to UBH all the time. Very sick ones we couldn't care for in that district. And it was a struggle because of bed pressure and nutrition. It was terrible. So this has been a game changer for the district's ability to refer very sick children who need specialist care and specialist treatment, and now they're going to get what they need and they deserve. Okay, so if you follow me, we'll we'll go upstairs and have one. On the left-hand side, you'll see a brand new pediatric ventilator, which will be for these people doing so the very sick moms and the babies that are cared for here, if they're not in the neonatal unit at the We've also got a lot of equipment that's gone to the neonatal ICU at the maternity unit. We won't take you in because of infection control. We might protect the babies there. But they've received new baby warmers, new incubators, new ultrasound machine which they can carry up and down the stairs. It's got this big, which is amazing. So stuff that's really going to help them provide world-class care to these very, very sick newborn babies. Right, and then the slightly older ones, we get overflow will come into here once the oxygen supply. So where you're standing now is a 3 brand new beds plus a new gurneys. So this will be the holding area for children either about to enter the ward or on their way out of the ward to another department in the hospital. So that's why they're placed strategically here. You follow me around and taking the ward. Also as an investigation room. So this is a brand new ultrasound machine which is going to be dedicated to the pediatric unit. Right, so this is only for the kids. Okay, so they don't have to be running across the hospital saying we've got the ultrasound machine, you need to book, but now the pregnant women are going in front. This is only for the children. Alright, which is fantastic. So we'll be able to offer ultrasound services, ultrasound guided treatments in the pediatric. This is where the 16 patients will be cared for. Alright, so this is where the nurses will be at all times, and they've got all the equipment they need to respond to emergencies in this room as well. Right, and as you can see, very nice new cots, gadgets and things that we need to care for children, and then plus beds for the carers. We've got little tables, chairs, and side storage units as well. Right, that gate in the corner there, that's a baby ward. So in winter, as you know, Bulawayo gets very cold, so we've got very small babies who are struggling to walk, and they can use a ward to add to their ward.
After seeing this, all of these Rotarians have made, can you please take our names and you can say we won 5 years ago. So if we get sick, this is where we want to go.
That's you guys. You see this garden over there? Yeah, you wouldn't, without your help, you couldn't be seeing all these vegetables. You see, these vegetables are like 3 months ago when I came, there was literally nothing.
Yeah, becoming your
yes. There was literally nothing. These guys were facing huge water problems.
Right.
So we managed to resuscitate this ball, and now there's actually a lot of vegetables that we have. They're harvesting in here. Like a week, I'm realizing that they are harvesting like close to 75 kgs of vegetables.
Great.
So that is like harvesting like twice a week. So we also had some spinach. Although we didn't have any cover, we had a lot of spinach. So we're talking about nearly 400 kgs of vegetables per month. Wow. Which is so great. So
and where is it going?
Sorry?
Where are the vegetables? Are they going to the maternity hospital?
It's actually going to the hospital kitchen.
Okay.
Hospital kitchen. It covers all the wards, maternity wards, pediatric. Like we now have, I'm told they are now beginning to supply some food also to the pediatric. So this is going a long way in alleviating food shortages here.
The last video is a special video that Blessing and Dr. Mike made as a thank you for the work we did on this project.
Shelly and the most amazing Edina. We just wanted to say thank you very much for everything that you've done for Zimbabwe. You are a true testament to Shelly and the most amazing Edina Rotary Club. We just wanted to say thank you very much for everything that you've done for Zimbabwe. You are a true testament and an example of what Winston Churchill once said. You make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give. I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Mike, that will also say a few words.
Thank you very much, Rotary Edina. The pediatric ward that you've opened at the moment has been closed for 20 years, and I can tell you that as a doctor in a rural district facility, for a very long time we struggled to refer critically ill children to a specialist ward purely because of a shortage of pediatric beds in Bulawayo. And this has been an absolute game changer, not just for Bulawayo itself, but for the region and the catchment area that this hospital will serve. And it's going to save a lot of pediatric children's lives. And it's going to make a lot of rural doctors like me very, very happy. So thank you so much for all your work, all your donations, and your thoughtful involvement in this project.
And from all of us here in Zimbabwe and MADA, we just wanted to say thank you very much. And we hope that you can visit Zimbabwe soon to be able to see the difference that you've all made. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much. Really appreciate being here. It's an honor. This has been a fantastic project. And thank you, Shelly, for all the work you put into it. I don't know, do we want to do questions or?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, please, if there are any questions, go ahead.
I have a question just around the nutrition piece. You guys, it had to be a big lift to operationalize, harvest, and cultivate those greens. I mean, how did that come about, and what were some of the challenges there with that?
Yeah, so they were doing a garden at this hospital. So they already were kind of making an attempt at it. We were able to kind of take the template that we've used throughout Zimbabwe and institute it there at UBH with Love for Africa's help. Some of the issues are actually getting the kitchen staff to to use the food that's being produced, because they kind of have their own way that they want to do it. So, usually we can get that to happen with a little push from hospital administration, and Dr. Mike helps us with that, and some of the nutritionists come along. It gets really hot there in the summer, and that's another issue. That's the shade cloth and the microjet irrigation helps, but there's, sometimes it's so hot that vegetables just have a really difficult time. Otherwise we've done it so much now in so many different places in Zim. Like I said, 7 different gardens. And Silent, who was speaking there, I've worked with him for 4 or 5 years now, and I've brought him to Senegal to agriculture conferences, and I've worked with him in Zim a lot and trained. I was a farmer for 12 years in Wisconsin too, so I have some background in that. And he's just done a fantastic job. So now we've got a team. Love for Africa has a team there that works with the managers that they hire. So it's really kind of a well-oiled machine at this point.
Who owns the hospital? What does the government, bless their hearts, think of what's happening? Are they at all supportive? Are they going to stay out of the way? But what's the structure, the financial and legal structure that's going to keep that operation happening and people not coming in and scrapping it for copper?
Right, yeah, so that's a good question. So UBH is a government-owned hospital. There are private hospitals in Zim, but this is a government one. The government is involved to the point that they can take credit for things, basically, to be honest. Yeah, no, that's the real deal. So for example, we partner, quote unquote, with the First Ladies Foundation in Zim. It's called the Angel of Hope Foundation. And they've helped some with kind of easing containers, getting containers through customs and things like that. But generally, Love for Africa and Matter has done kind of the heavy lifting. The hospital administration has contributed. I suppose they're part of the government, right? So they've contributed in helping us finalize the list of equipment needs and things like that. But like I said, there's systemic problems. The government is, not going to be fixed overnight. That being said, as far as like people coming in and stealing the equipment or recycling it for money, that they're very protective of this stuff. So once it's there, it's not going anywhere because the hospital administration and staff values it so highly.
Michael, do we have time for one more?
Yeah.
2 more?
We have 5 minutes.
2 more? 3 more?
3 more.
Do the patients, is it a pay for service, or does the hospital provide those services for free? How does that work?
Yeah, so it varies. In Zim in general, it's supposed to be free, the state health care, and that's how it was set up. Now, how it actually works, if they don't have the supplies that they need at the hospital, which is very often, patients will have to bring their own. So yeah, it's not cheap to go to the hospital just for that reason, or medications. If the hospitals don't have medications, they have to go find it someplace else.
Chris, it sounds like you might be from Wisconsin. I'm wondering, as we talk about the Global Rotary Foundation, where did you get your heart for making a difference globally?
Yeah, I'm not from Wisconsin, thank God.
Okay.
I lived in Wisconsin for 12 years on a farm, but I'm from Minneapolis here. Yeah. Well, I've always been interested in the, I guess, in developments and problems in the world, and how I could potentially help. My connection with Matter came from, like I said, we had this farm. It was a small organic farm, horticulture, and we raised some lambs, and we sold to restaurants and co-ops. And it came time to leave that and move back to the cities, and a job opened up at Matter. My cousin worked there, and they were looking for somebody to start their agriculture program. So I kind of slid in there, started that, and then kind of moved into the medical projects as well. But yeah, I grew up a Christian, so that's a big part of it. Went to religious schools, Christian schools. Went to seminary for 3 years in Chicago. So I think that's a big part of kind of what inspires me to give back.
What is next for you guys? Is it continuing to see this off the ground, or is it eventually to move on to something similar, but a different project that's either larger? Or?
Yeah, well, so actually we have a number of different projects going on all the time. This is a big one, and we still need to see it through. Like I said, there's another container that's arriving. There's some issues with transformers that we need to finish, and the garden needs to be kind of brought to a standard that we've expected in Zim. So there's things that need to be completed with it. But yeah, we hope to do more large projects like this. We're focused on working in Zim right now. That's a kind of just a main focus area for us. It's been for the past few years, mainly because of our partner Blessing. It's just so instrumental in making sure that these things are done well. And that's really how Matter works. We find partners and in the countries that we're working, and we work with them. We don't go and actually just do projects on our own in different places. We have to work with partners on the ground. So when we find a good one, we want to kind of double down there and leverage that. But yeah, we're actually doing another project with Rotary in Guatemala. It'll be a smaller one, just a container of medical equipment and supplies, but we're in the process of procuring that stuff right now. Doing a bunch in Ukraine right now. People are coming to us and needing medical supplies and equipment, and we're doing our best to provide that. Tanzania, all over the place. Yeah.
I lived overseas for a few years and joined Rotary overseas, in fact, and have been involved and from a distance seen a number of service projects that included mechanical and electronic equipment, to find that in a few months or so it was no longer functional and they didn't have the capability of maintaining it. Have you experienced any of that?
Yeah, it's a huge problem. So, basically there's probably one biomed for this entire region, and they might have been trained 20 years ago, so they're not up to date on the modern equipment. Now, the way we solve that is by having partners who are constantly checking on this stuff. So we actually hire private biomed companies to come in and repair things when they go faulty. We can do that in the areas that we're heavily focused. A lot of the projects we work on, we really try to provide just kind of more basic equipment because of that. Because there's equipment graveyards all over Africa. I could have shown you pictures from this hospital of rooms that were just packed full of equipment. Who knows what's wrong with it? It could just be a fuse or something, right? But they just push it into a corner, and it's gone forever. So yeah, it's a big problem, but we do our best to kind of keep it up as we can. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it, everyone.
So, Chris, what a great presentation. If anybody is a Rotary member and was wondering what's in it besides lunch every week, this really illustrates it. Thank you. Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million neighbors, friends, and leaders and problem solvers who see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. From literacy and peace to water and health, Rotarians are always working to better our world, and we stay committed to the end. In honor of your presentation today, Chris, we're going to make a donation to My Very Own Bed, which is a local nonprofit, and that organization provides new beds to children that are moving into stable housing. My Very Own Bed gives a new bed, set of sheets, a blanket, a pillow, mattress pad, stuffed animal, and a book to children who might otherwise go without. So again, thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate it.
What an incredible story, Rotarians, and it was so helpful for me because I've heard Shelly talk about this for a long time, but to think, Sam, from the beginning, when did it start, 2017, 2018, all the pieces, all the things that she went through to make it happen, to grow the initial money that our club gave to the anonymous donor, the money that came from Rotary International, and then to see the finished product. It was so fulfilling. Thank you, Shelly. Thank you, Rotarians. Everybody give yourself a hand. I don't know what you think, John Cordelli, but I think we are rock stars, all of us sitting here in the room. So, to infinity and beyond. Again, we have 2 more weeks to bring stuff, Sue, if you want to bring diapers or cake mixes or paper products to help out VEAP. Next week, Dr. Stacy Stanley, who's the superintendent of Edina Schools, is going to be here. Also next week is the Black Business Mixer. 2 weeks from today, Michael Brindisi, who is the artistic director for the Chanhassen Dinner Theater, is going to tell us how he stayed alive and how he picked shows. And I think he's going to have auditions, Mike, so you might want to be checking it out. So, coming up is another service project that we have. We'll give you all the details next week. It's the Days for Girls donation, helping out girls in third world countries. We're going to ask people to bring things to make a difference. And then we have VEAP packing shifts. If you can volunteer on a Wednesday to help, talk to Jennifer Benarott. She'll coordinate that. And then for some reason, we have the annual picnic, which is coming up on June 30th. And if you are a new member, like Rich Melzer, you're on the planning committee. So, in honor of Dr. Seuss, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. Meeting adjourned.